What's happening, YouTube? Knife Factor at it again. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there in YouTube land. And everywhere else for that matter. Today, I'm going to go over the CIVIVI Banneret with you. A little Thanksgiving overview review. Get the stuff off the mat here. And I'm going to tell you what I think about this knife. And, well, I think you'll be surprised. Anyways, let's get into this. We'll get into some specs. Start off with a weight here. On. Start off with that weight. 3.95 ounces. Okay, let's get some lengths for you. We got a blade length of 3.5 inches with a cutting edge of right at about 3 3/8. Handle length is, I got so much stuff here on the table, it's in my way. Handle length, we have a total handle length of 4.5 inches with a total length. It might have been just shy of 4.5 inches, like a 1/16 less. But a total length of 7 7/8. So there you go. But we're not going to call it quits there yet. We're going to go ahead and give you some spine thicknesses and behind the edge thickness. We are not zeroed out. We want to be zeroed out. Okay. Spine. Oh, come on. Now I'm wasting valuable video time. 0.1110. Behind the edge, hold her steady here so I can get it on there good for you. Behind the edge, 0.0185 inches. So there you go. There's your specs, not off of their website, off of the tools right here that good old Knife Factor showing you. So you got some specs. You already know, if you were good and watched my unboxing of this, you know it's kind of a frame lock, liner lock, sub lock, whatever lock, with green micarta scales. Nitro V steel, and a price of approximately $95. Ergo wise, I was surprisingly shocked how much I started loving this knife. It took me a few days to start carrying it around with me. I mean, it kind of would come in and out. I usually carry 2 knives so I can keep stuff getting reviewed for you guys. And then after I got a hold of it and actually used it a couple of times, I really fell in love with this knife. The ergos are great for me. You know, it's got that, well, kind of a gentleman's look to it without it. You know, you got a black stone wash here, green micarta, and you can see it taking on all the nasty oils from my hands. Black coated blade. You got a swedge right there with a, it's not a draw, they call it a, oh, I forget what they call it. I call it a spear point because that's really what it is. Well, they call it a dagger. It's a spear point. I don't care what they say. And it's a flipper. I have absolutely fell in love with this knife. I carry it every day since after getting, about having it 4 or 5 days. It's been with me every day. And then I tote another knife with this knife. It's absolutely great ergonomics for me. My large size hand, you can see plenty of room there. You can really get on there and do your work. It's at work. Just the other day I was opening and breaking down tons of cardboard, and it just held up great and kept on cutting. That Nitro V steel has held up great. I was surprised and joyed at the same time. And let's see if we can still, well, barely shaven. So you're not hair popping sharp anymore, but you know, it's had a few weeks of use and abuse. And I have to say, if you like I've never really been into the longer, slenderer knives, and this knife has just done it for me and has honestly changed the way I feel about knives that are this style. It's going to make me start seeking out others, I believe. Let's compare this knife to a couple. We got a Spyderco Capara, as you can see. Handles longer on the Capara, blades about the same. And then I'll throw a couple more, just my typical Crooked Rivers, a lot smaller than the full, and then the mini. I mean, these are longer, slenderer knives too, but it's just different aesthetics completely. You can see it's a little bit longer handle on the mini Crooked River and shorter blade on the mini Crooked River, but there's a couple comparisons you can go off of. I can't say enough about this knife. I mean, does it have some flaws? Well, of course it does. We'll start off with, it opened like a firecracker, we'll say. And it kind of seemed loose, but I didn't have blade play, which I don't have blade play now. But after some use, I started noticing the blade felt looser, so I kind of gave it a little wiggle there, and it was flopping all over the place. You'd have thought I had noticed. And also, the pocket clip got sloppy real quick, but I pulled out the screws, put a little Loctite on them, and the blade, when I first got it, was off-centered. And I didn't want to alter anything till after I used it for a while. But once that blade got loose, the pivot screw right there, I tightened it up and got it to pretty much where I like it for flipping. It's a little bit of a long flip, and I think that's due, personally, I believe it's due to such a short flipper tab. That flipper tab, there's not much there. The jimping's good enough on it. I like it, but, in keeping it slender, I think they probably kept that kind of low. I mean, you can open it up just fine, but you might have to pay a little bit more mind to this than some other knives, some flippers, like you have the Ace Jutland. Look at look at the comparison on how those stick up. I mean, that sticks up and it hooks out. I mean, no problem. You don't even have to think about it. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm used to it, but I'm just trying to give you an honest opinion on that. It's a short flipper tab. Got a nice big sharpening choil. I haven't sharpened it yet, and I'm going to. I wanted to run out the blade. It's still sharp and it still performs. Like we saw, it's not hair popping sharp, but it does the job. You can't ask for a lot more than that. The flaws in it I see kind of here. I said that in my unboxing. The chamfering could have continued. It looked a little more finished. Both sides are the same. I like the aesthetics of it. I wish I would have bought the black G10 with uncoated blade also, because I just thought it looked cool, but this one looked really cool too. You got your deep carry pocket clip. You had some loose screws that got loose real quick, real easy, but since I snugged everything up, the centering straightened out to perfect centering without even trying. When I got it where I was at, I liked it. It popped up great. I don't like this. Obviously, in the open position, that's what you're gonna, it's gonna separate from there, because you have your scales and then you have the lock in here. And you can see they intentionally, I'm sure they got a good reason for it, leave a little gap there. Don't hate it. Maybe a little less appealing than if they would have had a little more material left behind like they did back here. But I can deal with that. That's the only real flaws on this knife. Other than that, I have absolutely used this knife for the cardboard, rope. The edge is held up well with no chipping or rolling or anything. It's just been really good to me, and I'm really happy with this knife. And I'm dragging this review out way too long. So there it is. Great knife. Love it. Follow me on Instagram, knife_factor. Give me a like, subscribe, dislike, comment, all that good stuff. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day with their families and or loved ones and friends today.